back with another video, folks, where I'm going to be doing the latest craze on YouTube, which is the crazy camera dance, dancing in front of the Nikon Z6 Mark II to check the low light capability of the autofocus, the face and eye tracking on this camera in both video and stills, because apparently that's how everybody moves when they're in front of your camera. Now this video has been requested, so I thought it would be a good idea to set up in a low light situation outside in the garden to try and resemble some sort of evening type shot, maybe after an event, people are outside having drinks. Now I'm recording on the Z50 and the Z6, so don't judge the video quality because obviously the conditions are just terrible. So don't judge that video quality coming from these cameras. That's the best I can do under those situations. And to be honest, you probably wouldn't find yourself shooting under those situations many times at all. So if you are new to photography and you're here to look at this camera, possibly considering to buy it or other cameras like this, just remember and take into account that face and eye tracking isn't everything, and it doesn't make the camera. There's many situations where you're not going to be using eye and face tracking to grab pictures or video. Different situations are going to need the application of different autofocus settings within your camera, and that's just fact. That goes with any camera, folks. Okay, so take this test with a little bit of pinch of salt, but again, under the high ISO and low light, you'll be able to see if it still tracks the face and eye. So, without waffling on anymore, we'll jump into the garden, we'll run it through the test and we'll see how it performs, and then we'll pop back in the studio and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright folks, we're back with a low light test for the Nikon Z6 Mark II. I've got the 24-70 f4 lens on this, the kit lens, to make it difficult for this camera. I want to try and put it in a really extreme situation to see how the autofocus works. Now I'm just going to be testing out the wide area AF with face tracking. That's it. I'm not going to be testing out anything else. I just want to see if it performs well with this this setup. So I've got it set up with maybe to kind of resemble maybe like a nighttime scene after an event, people sitting outside with drinks in low light, just to give us a good idea. I didn't want to sit in the studio and kind of just zoom in from focus from one object to another. I wanted to kind of give it a bit more of a real feel to it, to see how it actually performs. I think you guys might get a bit more out of it doing it this way. Before we do, I'm going to adjust the main camera, the Z50, which is recording now, to show you exactly what I'm seeing now, because obviously what you are seeing is obviously a boosted ISO. So I'm going to show you what I'm seeing now. I'm going to reduce that ISO and I'll show you what. So that's exactly what I'm seeing. So what you're seeing now is actually what I'm seeing. This is kind of how the lighting is in this situation, just to give you guys a better idea. So we're going to run through some shots using video and stills to see how the face tracking works. I'll just set it at 3 different levels: ISO 100, ISO 4000, and then we'll level it out. We'll even the meter out, and it meters out at about 40,000 ISO. So we'll get that done quick because I think it's going to chuck it down. So let's start it. I'll boost that back up and we'll get started with that. Okay, so what we're on now. Alright, so we're going to start with the video mode, and at the moment we're on ISO 100. Don't think for 1 minute that this is going to work at all, because I think it's that underexposed. So I'm just going to come into the video, into the lens, come away and see if it tracks my face or not. I really don't think it's going to be effective at all, so I'm not going to mess about too long with that. We'll bump it up now to 4000 ISO in video. And the rain's getting heavier, so I am going to do some obviously extreme jumps in ISO, because obviously you guys will kind of get the feel for it, especially working with an f4 lens. If this was a prime lens, it would work even better, but because it's f4 kit lens, then obviously you're going to see it's going to work even harder. It's going to have to work even harder. So we'll come straight in, see if that's tracking my face. And you guys obviously be able to see, because I'm recording the back of the screen through the iPhone. So that's the 4000 ISO. We'll change it to 40,000 ISO now. I know you wouldn't shoot in that extreme conditions, but to be fair, I just wanted to put it through its paces and see if it's capable of shooting in these really harsh harsh lighting setups now, so I'll just move around. I think now the meter's leveled out now. It should focus better on my face and eye, I think. Probably doesn't help I'm wearing a hat neither, like, so we'll just see what that looks like. I hope the quality of the view through the camera is decent enough for you guys. I'll put it in the bottom of the corner of the screen, I think, so you guys can see what it looks like. So that's the video. We'll switch to stills and we'll see what it acts like in stills. Right, so we're in stills mode now, so I'm going to start recording at 100 ISO before the heavens open because the rain's getting heavier. I'm just going to sit down, see if it follows my face. I'm going to have to keep activating the camera because I haven't been in the menu and switch it off. I didn't want to mess up the setup I've got. I'll come in, see if it's tracking my face. I'll stop pressing the button, see if it tracks my face. I'll sit down, take a couple of pictures. Obviously they're going to be really underexposed. We'll set that to 4000 ISO. I can hardly get my words out now because it's really cold. So now we're at 4000 ISO. I know you guys won't see a difference in the back of the camera, but it really is underexposed. I think again it'll level out at around about 40,000 ISO. So I'm going to sit down, I'll take a picture. Hopefully that'll still be on my face. I think I mentioned I've got live view switched off on this camera now, so that's why we'll switch that up to 40,000 ISO. So there we're sitting at 40,000 ISO. Now I know you won't be shooting in these with these settings at all, but I just wanted to make it a really extreme environment. I mean, at 1/40th second people are walking about, that's going to be blurry anyways. It's not something that you would really do. But obviously, again, this kind of scenario where lights are coming on and off, and obviously you've just got a little bit of light coming from some small lights on the side of walls. People shooting these types of conditions, not the best conditions at all. I thought it would be a good test for the Z6 Mark II, considering it's been touted to being able to focus better in low light. So you guys can tell me whether it is or not and what you think. I'm going to call it a day there, folks. We're going to head back in the studio now. We'll take a look at the footage and see exactly how it pans out and how good it's performed. So I'll see you back in the studio. Right, so back in from that test shooting with the Nikon Z6 in a low light situation, checking the autofocus. So what can we take away from this test? Well, one, you probably won't find yourself shooting in those conditions ever. Really, I mean, every situation is completely different. Two, the eye and face tracking within any camera doesn't make the camera. There's so many different settings in the camera to allow you to grab any shots or any video that you need, and all cameras are more than capable. People are getting really hung up about this eye and face tracking. It is great and it does make life easier, but it's not the be all and end all. Three, learn your camera inside out, whichever camera you're using, whether it's a new camera or an old camera, and you will be guaranteed to get the most out of that camera and get the shots you want. So learn the camera first, learn every setting, every autofocus setting and everything else within that camera, and you'll get the most out of it. So if you found this video useful, folks, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Flick the notification bell so you can see when more videos are posted, and I'll see you guys in the next one without the crazy dancing. See you then.